Alright everyone, welcome to round, I believe it is... Oh, what round is it? Oh my god. Very well prepared, as always. I believe this is round 9? 7. Let me see why... isn't working. Oh god. What is happening? I think it's fine. Alright, welcome back to round 8 of the 2SF1 Championship here in Singapore. We have 19 drivers lined up today, so very close to the grid, and I believe we should have one final driver showing up very shortly. Yeah, hopefully this will be an exciting race. Which it should be, because we all know Singapore can bring its surprises, you know, especially because it's a very difficult circuit. Of course, being a street circuit that's very high speed, there will for sure be some incidents with the wall. Let's just say it like that. Hopefully ones that don't cause a DNF, but I think there will be definitely quite a few drivers having some contact with the wall, as we currently have the first drivers setting their banker laps, and I think that was Vinge being spun and being spun again. Start finish line. So not a great start to qualifying of the Alpine F1 car, who is currently in P3 with a 131, or excuse me, 137 1. 137.9 actually, I was looking wrong. But of course, like I keep always saying, this is just a banker lap. It doesn't have to mean anything. Most drivers are just getting ready to go for their actual laps later on in the qualifying session. Look, who is on a lap? I think McKendor might be on a lap. Let's have a look. Yes, he is. Currently in P19. The Alpha Tauri driver now going over the final DRS one. I guess it's not the final one because we still have the main straight, but he does go purple in sector 2, so it looks like this is going to be a good banker lap for him. Why did my game just hold tab? Anyway, back we go, and into the final few corners, which are definitely not easy, and then across the line he goes to set a 136.5, only 5 thousandths of a second behind Meepo. So very close between them two, and then you have Christian in P3, who is 71 thousandths off. It's also very close. So that's 3 drivers we have within 10th of a second. Very impressive so far. Now, I wonder if they will all be this close together at the end of the session as well. This time I did come prepared though. I have water with me. Someone's honking outside my domicile. Don't know who that was, but oh well. Alright, let's have a look. Danico is on the outlap. We haven't seen him do much of qualifying this season so far. I believe he has started most races, if not all races, from the back of the field. So I wonder if he will qualify this time. And Samim has left the session, so I'm quickly just gonna send him an invite. Just so we don't lose a driver in the middle of the session. I just find him real quick. I cannot seem to find him, so I can only think either his game has crashed or his internet died. Here he is. Alright, invite sent. Hopefully we won't lose him for the race session, as he still has 10 minutes to rejoin in quali, which should be plenty to reboot his game. And now Danico starting his hot lap. Danny sandbagging again, as always. Danny, master of sandbagging. Let's look if he will set a actual lap, or if he is sandbagging like we're used to from him. Now he does set a purple sector 1, so this does look quite promising. Maybe we won't get sandbag Danny today. Unless we will get Crashgate Danny, which we haven't seen before, but never know with this British fella. As he does have a Haas in front of him, hopefully it doesn't affect him that much, but it looks like he is fine. Now going into the DRS zone. Getting past him. Don't think he really impeded him. Now, I don't think he had a purple sector 2, unless I missed it. So let's see what he can do in sector 3. Now going through the second to last corner, trying not to hit the wall here on the exit, which he does successfully. Just the final corner left. And keeps it within the lines, and currently goes P4, so Danny is indeed sandbagging because he's 2/10 off. Good to know. Mr. Sandbag. Alright, let's have a look. Let's have a look at his teammate of Yoda, who is currently in P17, is setting a lap with, I believe that is a Alpine in front of him. Now he might get a tiny bit of dirty air from it, because he is quite close, although it looks like the Alpine is quite far away now, so you shouldn't have that many issues with it. And now Yoda across the final corner, and across the line he goes with a 1:48, so I can only assume this was a non-representative lap time. Possibly with a spin or something involved. Let's have a look at one of the Mercedes drivers of Blinde Vinkje, who is currently going through turn 1, just starting his hot lap, so it looks like we have caught him in a perfect time. I believe he is the championship leader, if someone could double check that for me. Meepo actually going on P1, improving by just shy of 3/10, setting a 36.2. So he was already in pole, but now he just extends his gap to Makender in P2 and Christian in P3. Of course, we still have to wait and see what they do. But for now, let's look at Blinde Vinkje. Now, I personally think Sector 2 on this track is possibly the most annoying sector of any of the street tracks in this game. It's like, for some reason the car just doesn't want to turn. Maybe it's a skill issue, but you know, it is what it is. I think he is P6 on Champ. Oh, maybe I'm dreaming of some other championship, I don't know. Anyway, Sami back in the session, very good to see. Just gonna take my glasses off real quick, because my nose is starting to get filled up. And Blinevink improves by 2.5 tenths, keeping him in P6, not gaining him any positions. But still, not a bad time, seeing he still has one more lap. He can do... I think EMT is also on lap, just starting it, the Red Bull driver, going on to the, I suppose you could call this, main straight. Hitting the apex very nicely, not using all of the exits, but you don't really have to, I guess. It's a really difficult corner, where if you just go a tiny bit too quick, you go too far out. If you go too slow, you lose a heck of a lot of time. Now into what used to be the slingshot chicane. Corner, of course, changed a very long time ago. Now it's just a fast left-hander, and now across the bridge, going onto the second DRS zone of the lap. This one relatively new. In my opinion, kind of useless. You don't really gain much here from DRS, at least when you're behind a car. But, well, it is there. Now, the final sector, which is getting removed for next year. This part will no longer be here. We'll just be going this stretch of road here. So we will not have the right left-hander after the DRS straight. We will just have a straight line. Kind of sad in my opinion, but it is what it is. Now EMT goes P11, 37,599. There was a one car there. When was that? A car gamer? No, then it must have been... Who was that? Must have been Samim then, in that case. Must have been Samim and I didn't see him. He's retired from the session, however. And here we have Sandbag Danny starting another lap. I wonder how much fuel he has in the car this time. No, it doesn't look like much, because his dash is only showing 2.1 laps. So it can't be that much. Maybe he isn't sandbagging anymore. Let's see. Sector 1 improves by a tenth and a half. Just shy of a tenth and a half. Does go purple though. So maybe he took off the sandbags, took out the fuel, and is finally doing something competitive. But we can only wait and see, of course. Then he is the reigning champion. Unfortunately, from very reliable sources, aka his manager, I received very sad information that Danny will not be driving in 2S from the next season on. Very sad to hear. So hopefully he'll make the most out of this season, as he does go purple in Sector 2 as well. But just Sector 3 left. Did the car just jump, or am I blind? I could have sworn the car just jumped. Anyway, last few corners to go, using basically all of the track you can have. Just the final corner left, and he bins it in true Danico fashion. He goes into the wall, and I would say that's bye-bye pole, basically. So his McLaren is out for the session. That'll be a big repair job for the mechanics. But we move on to Andreas Loff, one of the faster drivers in the lobby. Not used to seeing him in P16. Maybe his lap just wasn't representative, so let's see what he can do on his final attempt to try and get pole. AlphaTauri driver zooming down the straight, let's see, is up by 4 tenths. So that would currently put him P14, P15, sorry, just behind Smelt. But Sector 3 is a sector where you can gain quite a good amount of time still. So maybe he had a spin here or had a big moment. You never know, so we'll just have to wait and see if he improves any more. To the last corner he goes, and across the line, improving by 9 tenths, just shy of a second, goes P10. Now let's see who else is on the lap. Let's go, actually Christian went pole, which we missed. Christian currently pole, but Meepo is improving, but not quite enough. He's missing about 4 thousandths of a second at the moment to be quicker, or sorry, equal to, Jesus my English, equal to Christian. Now Meepo of course is a very, very quick driver, so I can only assume he will find more time through the lap. As the session is now officially over, so no one else is going to be able to start their lap. And it looks like Mikander is one of those, as Mikander is finished, so he will not be improving anymore. So there goes his chance for pole, but Meepo is still very much on to get pole position. A little bit of a moment here there, but Christian actually improves his time to a 1:40, and Meepo makes a mistake, which unfortunately ruins his lap and making him stay P2 for now. But we have also Tunari in P4, who is up by just shy of 2.5 tenths. So if you can find just a little bit more time, you might be able to outqualify Blindevinkje and possibly also Mikander for a possible P3. It's just Sector 3 left for him. So let's see what he can do as our gamer retires. I think that was not a crash, it was just a retirement on track. As his car is just stopped now. And let's have a look at Tunari going through the last corner. And he goes P3 with a 2.89, very close to Meepo as well. And he does beat Mikander, Vinge and Blindevinkje. So that's qualifying done, with Christian taking pole of a 1:36.1, Meepo in P2 with a 1:36.246, Tunari in P3 with a 36.289, Vinge in P4 with a 36.3, and Mikander in P5 with a 36.4. And that's qualifying officially over now that all the cars are done with the session, everyone's in the pits. And we can continue to the race session. Now I'll just go through the race director really quickly in case it be necessary. But I don't think it will. And Yod actually didn't improve on his time, so he set a 1:48.3, which is 12 seconds off of P1. So we have Christian in P1, then we have 4 people from Finland. So the Finnish Inquisition is definitely happening into the top 5. We're only missing Icewind, who unfortunately doesn't have a full-time seat anymore, unless we could have, or not unless, if he would have driven, we would have quite possibly had a full Finnish top 5. Now we're just waiting for everyone to set their tire strategy, get their fuel in the car, any possible setup changes that they might do, say increase the front wing, change the diff a bit, Maybe change the tire pressures from quali to race. And we shall be going very, very quickly. Now, this time I do remember that the first lap is in fact a race lap and that we have no formation lap. So, in just a second, we will have all the lights going on, and it's 5 lights, and away we go. And did Yoda just jump the start? And I think Samim is not moving, but Meepo has a really good start, is side by side but decides to back out, keeps it safe. There's a little bit of position change. I think that's Fox being spun together with Andreas Love. Those two had a off in the start, but at the front with quite a clean start. Danico already up to P6, passing Blinde Vinkje on the start. Let's have a look at the tires everyone has chosen. And we have mostly hard tires besides Blinde Vinkje, Matt, Yoda and Samim, with them being on the medium tire. Now side by side between Danico and Vinge. Danny trying to move up, and he gets the move done, so he goes up into P5. With Vinge now being compromised for Blinde Vinkje as he does go defensive, trying to defend the position. Blinde Vinkje around the outside, decides to back out, keeps it clean as there's another incident in the back. I think that was EMT having a collision with Fox. So they've unfortunately been split away from the pack, as has Danny, as he is 1.2 seconds away from McAnder, meaning he's out of DRS. But he is still up until lap 3 to get back into that 1 second window to get back into the DRS, which it looks like he's doing. And we had, I believe that Vinge had a incident. As he has dropped down to P13, promoting Blinde Vinkje up into P6. So now Danny is just within the 1 second window, or he's hovering just around it. Actually, it looks like he is back in there. So that is good for him, as the McLaren driver went up 2 positions in the first lap. Let's see what else is happening on the track. I want to keep an eye on Blinde Vinkje as he is on those medium tires. So theoretically he should have better race pace than all the cars ahead on the softer tire compound. He is the closest car on mediums to any other car that is also in the fight for a potential win. As the other car that's closest on medium tires is Samim, who is unfortunately in 17th. And at this point in time, if the race would have been called next lap, is not in the fight for the win at the moment. He is probably just looking to recover as best as possible for a possibility of at least some points. Now, from what I can see, it doesn't look like Blinde Vinkje has that much of an advantage on those medium tires over the top 5 on the hards. That's interesting to see, although, of course, they are racing very close. These cars have better dirt air than the ones last year, but still, there is dirty air present, so of course that will impact him a bit. Christian, who's leading, setting the fastest lap, actually pulling out of the DRS window of Meepo. Although Meepo is hovering in and out of it. It looks like... get the DRS? Okay, he just about got the DRS. So Christian didn't get to quite pull out of the DRS yet. Now Blinde Vinkje very close with Danico, going for the move, pushing Danny a bit off the track. Danny still hanging on the inside, going for a dive back, and it looks like Blinde Vinkje gets to keep the position. So maybe those medium tires are working anyway. Although it is a interesting decision to go for a move, as they did lose a little bit of time and possibly tire wear. But from what it looks like, Blindevinki is pulling the gap back to Makander in P4. Now let's go back in the field a little bit. Basco really close to Matt, the other Mercedes car, who is also on the mediums. Of course, the Ferrari driver that broke the curse from last season, where Ferrari didn't score a single point. The boys at Ferrari being Smelt and Basco managed to lift that curse and scored some points for the Scuderia. Now Christian keeps on setting those fastest times, although Blindevinki now responding with a little bit of a faster time, and Mipo actually now for sure out of the DRS. And who is that going slow? I think there's someone going slow. That's Matt overtaking Smelt. Smelt, of course, not having DRS because he is quite a bit behind Copy, as the gap is 4.3 seconds. So now Matt will have to do as best as he can on those medium tires to catch up to the Alpine ahead. It's sad to see that there is these little packs splitting up, as there's Smelt going for a move on the Mercedes and makes it stick, but now down the inside. Let's see if Matt can keep it on the outside, because he will have the inside for next corner, and it looks like they're still side by side, and Smelt just has the exit due to a better line. Really good fighting for these guys, but it's not really gaining them time, and they are fighting for P9 at the moment. And what I was saying, it is kind of sad to see that the field is already split up in these little packs. I think it would have been way more exciting, of course, if everyone was more close together, but at this level it's kind of unavoidable to not have packs splitting apart. Let's have a look. Who else is really close together? Not that many cars, but our gamer, however, is right up the gearbox of Vinge, as we did have a yellow flag. I think that's one cruiser going slowly, as Vinge did have a big snap on the exit of the final corner, and now he is side by side with our gamer. Still side by side into turn 1, our gamer not giving up off the track. Little bit of a touch there from both sides. Our gamer off the track again, and Vinge keeps the move for now, as our gamer going down the inside again. And they touch, and it looks like our gamer is in the wall. I think Vinge just quite kept it, but I am pretty confident in saying that that was not Vinge's fault, as the move from our gamer was quite optimistic, going down the inside of that corner. Actually, Mipo very close behind Christian again. So it looks like the young Finn is looking very likely to stick around and possibly go for the win at the end of the race. Of course, now he most likely won't overtake, just to save his tires, save fuel, save ERS. Not really any point fighting, would just lose them time. Is anyone else really close? Not that much. The gaps seem to be quite spread out, with Samim being actually our first person to get a 3-second time penalty for track limit use. Obviously we have seen that he was going off track twice when fighting Vinge. So possibly that he got 2 warnings there and just got his 3rd one now. As EMT retires from the session, that is in the pit lane though, so nothing to worry about in terms of potential safety car or virtual safety car situations for now. As we can really appreciate how beautiful this circuit is from the bird's eye view. Of course, in the middle of Singapore. Really, really pretty track in my opinion. Seeing all the huge skyscrapers around, and of course this being right in the Marina Bay. It's a very pretty venue for a F1 circuit. Especially because it's during the night. At the end of the race with the fireworks, it just looks absolutely beautiful. As I think we all know, the infamous Sebastian Vettel win picture here from 2019, where he won from Charles Leclerc on strategy. The final win, Sebastian Vettel in Formula 1. Absolute legend of the sport. Now let's go back to Blindevinkje, as he is still on those medium tires, and in P5, right behind Makander. And looks like Makander is going on a move onto Nari and gets the move done. Of course, DRS assisted overtake. This is one of the street tracks where overtaking is not super difficult due to the quite long straight in Sector 1. But it can still sometimes be very challenging. As we have seen, there is a lot of opportunities for people to do switchbacks, and Blindevinkje having a look down the inside, not quite going for it. But now hunting Tunari down, and possibly setting himself up for a move, although Danny is also really close. These people here fighting for P3 are all really close together. It's a 4-car fight. And meanwhile, Meepo and Christian are just pulling away in front of them due to not fighting and not much tomfoolery happening, as there is a yellow flag. I believe that Gracie Yoss being spun around. The reserve driver in the Haas, number 36, being spun around and losing quite a few positions, dropping to P13, currently outside of the points. Now, Andreaslov also getting a penalty, the car in P14, just behind Crazy Oz. Speaking of points, it won't really matter if it stays this way, as he is outside of the points anyway, and Matt also getting a 3-second time penalty. Dropping outside of the points, as he is currently the final car, the top 10, meaning he would get 1 point, but due to that 3-second time penalty, he will lose 3, possibly even 4 positions. Now Matt and Basco going side by side. Matt just about staying ahead, as our gamer actually sets the fast lap of the race. Now Basco having a look down the inside, not quite going for it, deciding to back out. But now he also has Vinge right up his gearbox, having a look, seeing where he can possibly attack, as Basco decides to go for it just after the bridge. They do make contact, and Vinge actually manages to pass Basco because of the back exit he has due to the contact, and Vinge sends it. There is contact as he didn't make the corner, and he does keep the position, but it's not really the overtake we want to see. Now Basco profiting from the lunge made by Vinge and passing Matt for P11. As Matt actually taps the wall. I think it was with his wheel, so not with the wing. So he's lucky there. Actually, it might have been with the wing, because he is going into the pit lane. So the French reserve in the Mercedes going into the pits, going onto the hard tire, and that is a wing change. So he might have gotten either wing damage from the contact with the Alpine, or from contact with the wall in Sector 3. But he is the first one, actually, excuse me, the second one to make a pit stop for fresh tires. Our gamer was earlier. He went onto the medium tire compound, whereas Matt is going onto the hard tire compound. Now we go back to the front, where Meepo is still in P2, very close behind Christian. Now I don't really expect much to happen between these two, at least for now, as there's a Sector 2 yellow flag. I believe that's Yoda that spun. Yes, it is in P15, careful with the region, of course ghosting is on, but still, we don't want anything funny to happen. As we all know, F122 does have some interesting moments sometimes. Fox now getting a 3-second time penalty as well, so not the lap he would have wanted. As his teammate also is spun, Gracios being spun again, in I believe the same corner he was spun last time. So not a optimal race for the Haas duo, as they are both outside of the points and both unfortunately had their fair share of spins. Now let's go back to the fight for P3, where Vikander actually managed to pull the gap, and Blindevinke is now going down the inside of Tonari, pushing him outside of the track, but getting the move done. I wonder what the stewards will think of that. Now Danico is looking for a way to profit on this, because he has much more ERS, sitting at around 60%, whereas the two cars ahead of him are sitting around the 10% mark. Of course, Blindevinke's light blinking the whole time, meaning he's under the 10% mark. And I saw Tonari was blinking just a bit on the mini straight approaching the slingshot. As he goes a bit deep into the corner, but then he has a moment, keeps it on the track though. A bit too greedy on the throttle. Sector 2 yellow flag again. That is Fox being spun around. Once again, leaving him with front wing damage on the right side. So we will most likely see a pit stop from him this lap. Now looking back to the fight for P3, Tonari is almost out of the DRS of Blindevinke. So he obviously not up to pace with the medium tires of the Mercedes, as he just lost the DRS for the upcoming straight, meaning Danico will have a possible overtake opportunity here, although he is quite far behind. Now Blindevinke will try and do his best to get back up to Vikander, as it looks like he is rapidly approaching his DRS. Of course, still 20 laps to go, so still a lot that could happen as our gamer overtakes Fox. Now, unfortunately, this is another one of those races where there isn't really much happening. It's just most drivers being in a train and just sitting there waiting till after the pit stops, till the final laps, to possibly make a move, so that they can't get overtaken back by the car they're fighting. And that is Basco being spun around after the bridge. So I wonder if this is possibly another move gone wrong, or if he spun on his own, or possibly throttle or even rear locking. Let's see, Andreas Loft now really close up behind the other Ferrari of Smelt. Let's see if he will be able to make a move down the main straight. Of course, not the longest of straights, and Completely corner to make a overtake into as Samim is now crashed. And will he have a safety car? Yes, we will. We have a full course safety car, meaning we will see a lot of pit stops. A lot of people will be coming in as we go on to leaders of Christian and Meepo, seeing what they'll do in terms of strategy, as Matt gets a drive-through for speeding on their safety car, which is, well, suboptimal to say the least for him, as the Mercedes driver is already outside of the points and now got a penalty as well. Not greatest race for him. And here we see the leaders going into the pits. I can only expect them going on the medium tire, although I don't think it will last for that long. So Blindevik could benefit for this, as he will go onto the hard tire, as he was the only one in the top who wasn't on the hards. So going from the medium onto the hard is basically gold for him now. Of course, we have actually Copy, currently in P1, who decided to stay out. Interesting strategy by him. I hope you don't hear my dog, as he is having a little bit of a nightmare. Bill Floof sitting next to me, or sleeping next to me, should I say. Now, we have a few people that haven't pit, with few I mean two, that being Matt and Copy, both on the hard tire. So I wonder what their strategy is. Matt is probably just to service drive-through, as he is already on fresh hard tires, or relatively fresh, 4 laps old. Whereas I think Copy is just gonna try and make the default strategy stick and try to just pit on his normal in his normal pit window, which might be a very good strategy. It might profit him, as I think stretching those mediums all the way up until lap 31 from now, I think that'll be quite a mission. But we can only wait and see. Also, excuse me if you hear me inhaling. How would you say this in English? I basically have a stuffed nose, so I'm sorry if you hear that. Feeling a bit sick still, so that's why you hear me either sound a little bit different, or hear me inhale a bit more difficult with my nose. I don't know how I would say this in English. Not my main language, so you'll have to do with brokey English for now. as we are approaching. Yes, approaching. We are approaching the halfway mark of the race slowly. I believe the safety car will go in this lap, so we shall go on board with copy and have a look. Will the safety car go? It should go, and all the drivers are in a pack. We're just waiting for Fox to catch back up, which he should be right about now. And there it is, safety car in this lap. So from here on out, Copy is deciding the pace. Now Copy is on the slower tires, so I assume he will drop down quite a bit initially until the pace settles again. Of course, those hard tires much harder to warm up than the fresh mediums of basically all the cars behind him, possibly in the Vinky who's on fresh hards. And there it is, Copy has decided to go in the last corner, and we are green, meaning we are racing again. Now a couple of people having a look down the inside, but no moves being made quite yet. Matt serving his drive-through in the pits, of course, as I expected. It looks like we had a clean start so far. There has been a change of position, Smelt losing 2 positions, Grazios getting overtaken by our gamer as well. And it looks like Christian is challenging for the lead, but decides not to go for it just yet. Although he is looking for it now, and they don't make contact, so he keeps it nice and clean. Now around the outside, doesn't quite make it stick, as they're 3 wide now. Copy in the middle, getting pushed by Meepo to the outside, keeps it in, and they make contact, and Copy is spun around by Meepo in the Alfa Romeo. And Meepo also being spun, dropping down into P9, all the way to the back. So very unfortunate for him, as he was fighting for the win. As I believe there was another car spun back there. That was Grazios, again the Haas driver, having another spin this race. It's very sad to see Meepo being spun after having such a good start to the race. And now Christian is pulling away, as he already has a 2.2 second gap to Vinny, who is on the hard tire. So the only thing he really has to focus on is keeping the tires alive. That's the only thing he has to focus on at the moment. And now let's have a look. Actually, Tonari also getting a 3-second time penalty. People going into the pits, possibly for a front wing change. Who is very close together. It looks like Andreas Love is right up the gearbox of Basco, deciding to choose the outside. They do make a little bit of touch. Now Basco squeezing him into the wall. Excuse me. Wait. I have hiccups. Beautiful. Oh, alright. Snap back to reality. Alright, where were we? Right. Andreas and Vasco having a little bit of a moment down the end of the main straight. And now I'm pretty sure Andreas is not happy with how Basco acted. So he will look for any possibility to get past him as quick as possible. Let's have a look. What will the AlphaTauri driver be able to do? Christian now setting the fastest lap of a 1:40.2. I need to get another sip of water real quick. Alright, good to go. McAndler now working his way back up the field after he has had an incident in P15 at the moment. What happened to McAndler actually? I didn't see. I didn't quite catch what happened between him and whomever he had an incident with. Anyway, let's have a look. As the roles between Danny and Indefinkia have now swapped in terms of tires. Where Danny is on the quicker tire, hunting down the Mercedes. And you can already see just how much tire difference is here. As how much more grip he has through the corners, how much more the car wants to turn. And here he goes down the inside. Will he make the move stick? A little bit of contact. Benfica, I think, hitting the wall there, but Danico gets the move done. Room Cruiser now getting a 3-second time penalty. He is currently in P4. So that will lose him 2 positions. Possibly 2, definitely 1. Unless he pulls a bit more of a gap. To Vinge in P6 as Tunari, the car behind him, also has 3-second worth of time penalties. So now Danico, of course, almost 4 seconds behind Christian, so he has quite a way to go if he still wants to get this win. Let's have a look at our gamer, who is really close behind the Ferrari of Smelt. The Aston Martin driver just on the edge of points, getting a 3-second time penalty. I think it's the second one. That's not optimal, as Danico gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's mad, causing a yellow flag. I think in the pits again, or was he spun? I think he was spun out of the last corner. Nippon is having the fastest lap time with 1:39.3. So I think he improved the fastest lap time by 0.8 compared to Christian. Of course, Meepo can risk it a bit more, can use a bit more battery, as he is not really fighting anyone. There was a spin, I think that was Basco. That was Basco being spun around. And still being spun around. Behind our gamer. Once again spinning in well, I guess you could call it hairpin after the bridge. Well, I guess it is a hairpin actually, looking at the minimap. It does look very much like a hairpin. And let's see, our gamer is really close behind Smelt. But Smelt has a better exit, and he also has DRS from the car in front. So will our gamer have enough to try and go for the overtake, as Matt is spun in sector 3. I wonder if that was due to contact with Meepo, or if it was as simple as just spinning on his own. Now, looking at the front, Danico is gaining a lot of positions as Melt goes for the overtake on Andreas. A bit of contact there, but they keep it clean as our gamer almost caught it, but a bit too greedy on the throttle, spins, and it looked like he did damage his wing. Oh, and he spun again! On really hot tires, spun again and hit the wall. Once more. And really unfortunate for our gamer as he drops down to P14 after his incident. Going back to Andreas Love, stuck behind the Ferrari once again. Now looking to hunt down Smelt. Oh, really close to hitting him. There's been an incident up ahead that's Tunari being spun around. From P, I believe, if I recall correctly, from P4 being spun around, and Danico also had a moment. So Danico dropping down to P4 again. I'm not sure if he and Tunari had an incident or what happened. But suddenly, stuff is going down. So a lot of things happening, which fortunately I can't see them all, because I only have one pair of eyes. It looks like, at least at the front, stuff has calmed down a bit. Our gamer retiring from the pits. Our gamer retiring from the race in the pits. Not surprising, seeing I don't think he would have managed to recover much. Fox now getting a 3-second time penalty. He is currently in P9, meaning he will drop down to the final points position as Kender will jump in due to penalties. But is this the only battle happening? Of course, Tonari also really close behind. It looks like this is currently the only battle on track. Now let's have a look. Who will end up top here? It looks like Tonari is keeping a bit of distance to the two cars in front. Smelt getting a 3-second time penalty now as well. Seeing he is in P6, this could cost him some points. Let's actually have a look at the penalty situation. So from everyone on track, only Fox has 6 seconds worth of penalties. The rest all have 3 seconds. Oh, looks like no overtake happening at the minute. Just being really close together. And when I say really close, I mean gearbox touching diffuser close between Andreas and Smelt. Now, like I said, this track definitely not the easiest to overtake, but also not amazingly hard. Compared to tracks like Monaco, I suppose nothing is hard to overtake on. But Silverstone... Why did I just say Silverstone? I'm sorry. Singapore is definitely not the easiest. And really close again from Andreas. Up in the gearbox of Smelt. Now let's see, will this be the lap where he tries to go for a move? Or will he still stay behind the Ferrari? As we are approaching the final stages of the race, we just have 10 more laps. So this is the final sprint. The race, as Danico is actually really close and possibly going for a move on Run Cruiser, and yes he is. Does he make it stick? Yes he does, gets the move done. Nice and clean after the straight, and let's go back to Andreas. Does not quite make the move on the Ferrari. Getting a 3-second time penalty. While it looks like it wouldn't really matter that much, as he is currently last. Now, I hope for next game Cody's will fix all the spectator glitches, because it's unbearable to be on board the car and just hearing the engine being constantly on maximum revs. It's just unbearable. It's the only way I can put it. But now, is there any more battles on the field? That really isn't. This is really the only thing currently happening on the whole circuit. The rest is just quite big gaps, to be honest. One cruiser is barely in the DRS of Danico, and that's about it. And then we have this. Now, Andreas looks like he is setting himself up for a slingshot onto the big straight. He is really close now, going down the inside of the kink, and gets smelt before the end of the straight. So move done, Andreas goes up into P6. Now I wonder if Danny will be able to hunt down Blindevinke in P2, because of course Danny's tires will be really starting to degrade at this point, whereas Blindevinke's hearts are basically just waking up as he's starting to wear them in, where they eventually become faster. So we can only wait and see what happens. Of course, it could also be that Danny will start saving the tires a bit more for that final push, as he is 2.5 seconds behind P2. But he also has to think about the cars behind him. He can't slow down too much, especially because he does have that 3-second time penalty. And looking at that 3-second time penalty, Vinch is just outside of it, as Smelt going into the pits, surprisingly. 7 laps before the end. 8 laps actually. Going into the pits for another set of mediums. So it looks like he can't make them stretch quite to the end. So he is one car that drops out of the battle for P6. Speaking of dropping out of the battle for P6, Ferrari's out of DRS. So at this stage, we quite literally have no battles happening on the track. Tonari is now back in the DRS again, but at the cost of having no battery. But I suppose Andreas doesn't have any battery either, so it's quite a fair game here. It looks like Andreas did make a bit of a mistake, went a little bit deep in the hairpin, causing Tonari to gain a lot of time again, and he is within half a second now of the AlphaTauri. Now I wonder if we will see more pit stops going in, or if Smelt was the only one willing to sacrifice position for a little bit more pace. Fox now with a 3-second time penalty as well. Will we see Tonari go for the overtake? Andreas still getting a 3-second time penalty. That's an interesting place to get a track warning, I have to say. But he now also has 3 seconds, or is that 6 by now? It's 6 by now. So effectively, Tonari just has to stay within 3 seconds of the AlphaTauri driver, and he has the move done. But what he also has to watch out for is Makander, as he is within his 3 seconds, meaning he will lose the position again. And around the outside, and it looked like Andreas just conceded the position, probably trying to avoid any incidents. And I think Tonari will just now try and pull away out of those 3 seconds of Makander, although Makander is approaching rapidly to his position. 6, we can see Tonari almost already pulled out of the DRS of Andreas. So it looks like he definitely has more pace in those tires than Andreas does. Of course, the DRS will help Andreas quite a bit. But it's less than I expected. It looked like he gained maybe 10th and a half in the straight. I expected it to be more, to be quite honest. Now, actually, Melt going for overtake on Grazios. Which looked like Grazios was just letting him pass, not looking for any trouble, seeing that the Ferrari is on much fresher tires and knowing that it will have better pace. Now looking at Mikander is within a second of his teammate Andreas Loff. Will we possibly see a position switch here, or will it stay the same? Now I am really wondering how the drivers are doing with the tire wear, as we only have 5 laps left. So now is the time where I believe people like Blindevinkje will start pushing, as he is gaining decent amount on Christian. He might have the tire advantage by now, meaning he will gain a lot in those 5 laps. Now, to get up to him, he must gain at least 4/10 a lap, which I think is doable, looking at his pace. Now, we haven't seen a swap yet between Mikander and Andreas, which is interesting. I would have expected there to be a swap happening already, as I think it is quite obvious that Mikander is the fastest car at the moment. As Mikander actually makes a mistake, so maybe it's not the fastest car after all, and it looks like Blindevinkje just lost 3/10 again. So I think it will be interesting towards the end. We'll just have to sit here and wait. Just have to wait, see how everyone plays it out. Again, they're barely staying in the DRS of his teammate. And he'll have to work his way back up to right behind him. Now, Blindevinkje really gained a lot this lap. 1.5 seconds. Why am I still spectating Ender? Oh, there it is. There is Blindevinkje. Not much battery left, however. Let's see how Christian is dealing with the situation. A little bit more. I would say that's around 25-ish%. Definitely more than the Mercedes driver, but it looks like the Mercedes driver does have the tire advantage. Meaning he could sacrifice a little bit of speed for battery charging to help the battle at the end. But it looks like he is just trying to get as close as possible, as he is right on the verge of having DRS Let's see, will he have it? Really pushing the car now. It's gonna be close. It is going to be close. Did he get into the 1 second? No, he did not. Yes, 3 more laps, including this one. 2 more laps once he completed this to get the move done. Will we see the Mercedes overtake Christian for the win? Or will the Williams be able to keep Lindefinke behind him? This is the question we're all asking ourselves now. And I think it will be really interesting to see them battle it out. Right in the final stages race. It doesn't get any better than this. Lindefinke really gaining now. As it looks like Christian is making mistakes, possibly crumbling under the pressure. Or just really struggling from the wear of the tire. Now sector 3. Lindefinke is 6/10 behind Williams. He just needs to focus on exits. He just needs to do this. He has 2 laps to go for the move. He is really close once again, within half a second, but I don't think that's quite enough to go for a move. He is using the battery to get as close as possible. But he just doesn't have enough juice. Now braking later, keeping the apex speed higher, and he is literally up in the gearbox of Christian. He can basically smell the exhaust fumes coming out of the car in front of him. Now it looks like they're both avoiding any risks in terms of track limits. Possibly both being on 2 warnings, like Nico said in chat. So it looks like they both might be trying to just keep it safe, not get a penalty. But they're both trying to force each other into getting a penalty by making a mistake. Now we're approaching the end of lap 30, starting lap 31. So this would be really interesting to see how it plays out, as Lindefinke only has 1 more lap to go for a move. He has the DRS, he needs to not use any battery, he needs to save it all up for the big push on the straight. Now he needs to also figure out how to set his car up for the best possible exit here. He is well close. Now he gets a good exit. DRS open. Battery on full deploy. Needs to pick a side. Picks the outside. Brakes later. And hangs it around the outside. And gets the move done. Beautiful move by the Mercedes driver. As he makes it around the outside. Makes the corner perfectly. Absolute textbook stuff. Now, will Christian be able to maybe profit from a mistake that Lindefinke will make? The thing Lindefinke needs to do now is keep it clean. And it looks like that's something that Christian can do, as he already lost 8/10 of a second. So you can really see the tire is really what's holding him back here. The tire difference is really so big, and it looks like the anti-strategy basically from Lindefinke is what gave him the win. He was one of the only cars to start on the medium tire, and because of the safety car he can finish on the hard, and that's what got him the win. So congratulations to our race winner, in the Mercedes, Blinde Vinkje crossing the line in P1, Christian going into P2, Danico in P3, with Run Cruiser now coming up to the line, going for P4. Will he get jumped by any of the cars behind? Vinge stays P5. Now Tonari coming across the line, drifting across the line, 6th. Makander now jumping Tonari, going to 6th. Love finishing in 8th. Now Fox and Smelt both coming to the line. Let's see, Fox is across the line, 9th. Does get jumped by Smelt, however. And now Meepo in P11. Will he be able to get that one final point? Yes, he will. Meepo finishes in P11, Basco in... Meepo finishes in P10, Basco in P11. Now Copy crawling across the line to finish in P13. Actually gets overtaken on the line to go P14. Gets overtaken by Crazy Yoss. And now we're just waiting for Matt and Yoda to go across the line to completely finish this race. And now here comes Matt, and that is race over. Once more, congratulations to Blinde Vinkje in the Mercedes for the win. Absolutely amazing drive for him. Also congratulations to Andreas Loff for driver of the day, and congrats to everyone else on the podium with Christian in P2 and Danny in P3. Please wait. Thank you, game. And here we have the finishing results. Huh? What? Alright. Well, I guess this is it. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope to see you all back for next week. Or for next week's race in Japan. Where we will see the fight for a championship continue and hopefully more good racing. So thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you all next week. Have a good night.